Hi there and welcome back. It's Lisa from Critters'n Designs in Ontario, Canada. Today I'm going to be showing you my swap cards that I'm making for OnStage in Montreal next week. And I'm going to be using the Kindest Gnomes collection. First though, I'd just like to remind you that we still have a few days left until November the 10th to subscribe if you're not already a Paper Pumpkin subscriber for the November from the North Pole gift tag kit. It coordinates with last month's Paper Pumpkin, the Ho 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 kit that I did a video of a couple of weeks ago. So the other thing I wanted to remind you too, Christmas is coming and the cold weather is coming. And Stampin' Up! Has brought out some branded items for the fall, and we've got this cute toque with a fun fur little pom-pom. And I'm actually going to start wearing this because it's gotten a little bit cold here. And also our buffalo plaid coffee mug is available for consumer purchase as well. So just a reminder that these are available. So let's get started with this. I started out making the cards using the designer series paper of the Gnomes, and I'll show you what I have left of the paper. I've used a lot of it, but this is what I have left of it. So this one I used the hexagon little dies from Beautiful Shapes to cut these out when I ran out of the gnomes that I was fussy cutting. And that's the back side of that with these beautiful mushroom little gnome houses. There's this very cute one with elk and little foxes and some bunnies and little birdies. It's very cute. And the back of this is a linear Christmas tree, which is really sweet as well. And then we have this mushroom sheet, which I used on some of the cards. And the back of that is a beautiful watercolor snowflake. I just love this. And yeah, so those are what I have left of full sheets. And I have a couple of partial sheets of not much left of these two guys. So this one is the little gnome houses with little gnomes. And the back is Bermuda Bay pool party-ish snowflakes. And then we have this Pacific Point snowflake print, and it's got watercolor trees. I guess they're kind of watercolor on the other side. And that's what I was using to make all of these little bars. So let's get started. We have quite a bit to do. Okay, so to make this card, what we're going to use is we have a piece of Poppy Parade that is 8.5 by 5.5, and we've scored it at 4 1/4, and 2 pieces of basic white at 4 by 5 1/4, as well as I have a 4-inch strip of designer series paper. I'm using the Kindest Gnomes stamp set as well as the Gnomes dies, and the Picture This dies, and the Beautiful Shapes dies. So we'll be showcasing all of these products in today's video. So for the gnomes, I just have a few of these left, and these dies actually match our little gnomes. You can fussy cut them, or if you have the dies, you can go ahead and run them through your die cutter. I think that one's for that one, yep. And then this one I think is for this fella. Nope, wrong one. Maybe this one. Yeah, and so this one is for this guy here. So you can just run them through your die cutter, or, you know, sit in front of a movie or something and fussy cut them out. So I've got a couple cut out. I put these dies back. And so this die too fits the, well, I'm thinking of it, fits mushrooms on the back of here, as well as the stamp that is in the, in the stamp set. All right, so I'm going to put these away. since I have a couple cut out already. And so what we're going to need to do this card is we're going to use a card base that is 8.5 by 5.5, and I've scored it at 4.25. And for the front of the card, I'm going to use a piece of basic white that is 4 by 5.25, and I'm going to run it through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine with the Timber 3D embossing folder. So I'll be right back. Okay, so I have my embossed piece, and that's just going to go right onto here. Now the next thing I need to do is to cut my elements for here. So I'm going to take picture this dies, and I'm going to use the rectangular one. And let me just grab my cut and emboss machine. Okay, so when you're cutting thinlit dies, you need your base plate, which is number 1, and then your shin, which is number 2, and then 2 number 3 plates. So let's just lay our plate here. And I think I'll do I'll do a few. I'll do some of this little snowflake one. So I'm just going to lay it on like this. Now when you're doing something that has a ridge just like this, sometimes it's a good idea to put it on a bit of an angle, just so that it's not like going over a speed bump. So I'm just going to lay my plate on top and run it through. So you can hear it's not banging so much because I had it on a bit of an angle, so it's not really jumping over the edge of the die. Okay. And I'm going to do a little bit of the mushroom one too, because I really like that one. So do a little bit of this mushroom one. So when I was doing this in bulk, I cut my 12 by 12 into 3 4-inch strips, and I would just continue to cut all the way down the strip. So the next cut would be like, you know, here. Yeah, let me take this out of here. So my next cut would be here, and then my final cut would be these two, and I would do them like here. And so what I did was, because this gives you 2 sizes, I would use the two wider ones together and the 2 thinner ones together, because you get the thin middle one so you'll get 2 of the thicker little blocks and then 1 of the thinner ones. So when you keep cutting them out and you have multiples, you'll end up with enough of the thin ones and enough of the pairs of the wider ones to continue to make your cards, so that I'm not wasting any designer series paper. So you can see this one is made with the more narrow and longer little blocks, and this one is made with the thicker, shorter little blocks. And then that way I got to use up my whole strip without wasting any. And then for this block here with the sentiment on it, I just cut a piece of white that was just slightly over 1 inch, about 1 1/4, and I did a strip, and I just continuously cut them out until I had all of the pieces that I needed. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut 1 more set of each so that I have duplicates. So I'm just going to pop that on here. That's my plate. Now with the Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, it really doesn't matter which direction you go in. It cranks just as well in either direction. And so now I have one more of the long one to make a pair, and then I have one more pair of the wider ones. So that'll give me 3 cards right there. And I'll go ahead and do the same on the snowflake one. So I can go ahead and lay this here like this, again on a slight angle. And I'm going to run it through this way. So you could hear it banging a little bit that way. I didn't have as much of an angle as I had it the first time. And so here I have a second piece of the long narrow one. So there's another pair for another card. This one goes here. So I've got enough of these to make 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards, just cutting out 4 of these. Oh, and I need a strip of 1.5 inches of white. And I'm going to use up some of my scraps there. I was cutting out my multiples over on the pool table in the other room. And it's amazing how much paper sawdust, if you will, there is on the pool table. Okay, oh, I need my cutter again. Okay, so I've got my 1.25 inch strip, and I'm going to lie the die like this and run it through so that I can get my pieces for the sentiment. So when I was doing this for my multiples of cards, I just spent a whole afternoon just die cutting. And I just had my audiobook on, and I just kept die cutting until I had as many pieces as I thought I needed. And I think I did like 20 or 30 at a time. And then I'd assemble those cards and then do 20 or 30 more. Or probably, yeah, 20 or 30. All right, so now the assembly. The assembly is super, super quick and easy. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue down my embossed mat on the front. And I'm going to put my sentiment strips aside for now. And I just need some dimensionals, which I have right here. And I'm going to use the mushrooms this time, the long skinny mushrooms. So I'm going to put a couple of dimensionals on each strip. And let's see. So I typically put this up about 3/4 inch from the bottom and over to the right side on the bottom, and then about 3/4 inch from the top and over to the left on the top like that. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do a jig, a stamping jig. I don't know if that's what they're called, but that's what I call it. So I'm going to take a piece of basic white cardstock, and I'm lining it up at the 6-inch mark here and the 6-inch mark here. When I go to put the jig back after we cut it out, I can go ahead and do that. So I'm going to put this in the middle-ish. Doesn't really matter, you know, how centered it is really, but so, and I'm just going to pick up my stamp, and then I'm going to ink it up. Beautiful. Okay, so next I'm going to take my die and I'm going to center the die onto my sheet here. And I'm just going to run this through the cutter. Let me be right back. So we've cut out our pieces. Okay, and the skeleton is going to be our jig. I call it a jig. Just gently take that out. So let's take our Stamparatus back. And I'm going to line this up at six down and 6 across again. And we'll take one of the pieces that we die cut earlier. And I'm just going to lay it in there. And then we'll ink up our stamp. And there we have one of our sentiments. And so when you're doing a bunch of cards, this is the fastest way to be, oops, okay, I dropped that one and it shifted, so we'll throw that one away. This is the fastest way to do a pre-cut image. And you've seen me do it before. I've done it with flowers, I've done it with little animals. Just create a little jig like this and your stamping will always be dead on. Okay, and we'll do a couple more. Okay. There, so we can keep this jig and it's at 6 by 6. So let me grab a pen and I'm going to go at 6 by 6. And that way I know that if I need to set it up again, and this is the top, then I can line it up again, use my pre-cut pieces, and I know that they're going to stamp just right. So we can put this away for now, and we can go ahead and finish putting our card together. Okay, so I'm going to take one of my sentiments, and we're going to pop it on some dimensionals. And then this one I'm going to center right in the middle of the card. No, you'll notice some of them are closer together, just for variety. I changed it up a little bit every time I did it, just so that I wouldn't get bored doing the same old thing over and over. And then I'm going to take one of my little gnomes and I'm going to pop just a couple of dimensionals right here. And pop him onto here. There we go. And then I had some snowflake adhesive, little adhesive back little snowflakes that I'd had from probably last year. I don't think they're current this year, but I was using sequins and then I ran out of all the sequins that I had, but I found these when I was rooting around. So I thought I might as well use them. And there's our little card. Isn't that cute? So for the inside, I just used a piece of basic white. That's 4 by 5 1/4. And I took one of the little gnomes and some smoky slate ink. And I just popped a little gnome in the corner like this. And now this is going to go on the inside of my card. And so that's this little card. Now for the other card that I made with the little hexagons, I used, as I said, I used the Beautiful Shapes set of dies, and I used the 2 smaller of the hexagons. So I just kind of fussy cut so that it would fit in the die cutting machine. So I just kind of went around so that I wouldn't lose anything of importance in our design here. And then I just laid my smaller of the dies over the little gnome like this, and then ran it through the die cutting machine. And then I used the larger of the hexagons and cut pieces out with the Poppy Parade, and then I just layered them together. So the card is basically the same. So my card base is Poppy Parade, same as the other one, And just like the other one, I'm going to take a piece of basic white that's 4 by 5 1/4 that I've run through the Timber 3D embossing folder. And I'm going to pop that onto here. Okay. These cards went together so quickly. The thing that took the most time, of course, was cutting. I spent an entire afternoon just cutting, and then putting it together was a piece of cake. Very quick. So I've got my little mushrooms and my sentiment. Let me just close this before I stick my finger in it. Okay, so I'm going to put my dimensionals on all of my pieces here. And this snowflake piece would be really pretty on either a Pacific Point or pool party, even Bermuda Bay. Be really pretty. All right, so this time I'm going to center my sentiment first. That's pretty centered, I think. And then I'm going to, now make sure your mushrooms, if they're directional, you want to make sure they're facing the right way. So this one I'm going to put a little bit closer. And this one is going to go on this side. Okay, and I'm going to take my little gnomes and glue them to a piece of Poppy Parade that I cut out at the hexagons. And pop some dimensionals on that as well. Oops, that one's over a little far. Okay, and then this is going to go here, centered. And actually, you know what? I think I should take this one off. Yep, perfect. So then that's going to go there. And again, I'm going to use some of these snowflakes. And there, oh my goodness, it's so cute. And on the inside, same thing. We can take a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 and stamp a little gnome on the inside. Oop, I'm running out of glue. Pop that in there. Perfect. And there we are. So here are two of the different styles. Just clean up some of this, get it out of the way here. So we have one with the little hexagons from Beautiful Shapes. And these rectangles are from Picture This dies. And then here are some of the other cards where I fussy cut the gnomes using the dies that came in the die set in the different colors that I did. And here's one in Pool Party as well. Aren't they cute? So cute. Oh, so we forgot our envelopes. So let's grab some envelopes. So on the envelopes, I put one of the toadstools. I don't know, do you call it a toadstool or a mushroom? I'm not really sure. Toadstool, I guess. My folklore isn't what it used to be. Okay, and I'm going to stamp them in the basic gray. No, sorry, smoky slate. Okay, and if you have some designer series paper that, let's see what I have. We could take a piece of the designer series paper here, and I'm going to cut a piece that is, where's my ruler? That is 6 by 2, and this is 2 1/4 to the edge of that, but I'm going to go a little bit bigger. I'm going to go like 2 3/8. Okay, so let me cut this at 6. So I need it to be 6 this way and 2 3/8 this way. So I'm going to cut this in half. So I'm just going to do one envelope for now. I can do these later. For a swap, I wouldn't do this, but if you were sending this card to a friend, then definitely I would do this. So I'm just going to apply glue to the edge. Okay, and then I'm going to lay this right on the fold. And then trim away the excess. When we do swaps, I don't include envelopes, but in my team swap, I include envelopes, but not for a big swap like this, 50 cards or more. There, so you just trim it away. And then here's your very pretty envelope to go with your very pretty card. Isn't that cute? So it's all coordinated. Very, very sweet. All right, so let's bring these back. Let's clean up our mess maybe a smidgen. So here we have our envelopes. And here we have our cards. Aren't they lovely? So, so cute. Once again, I'd like to thank you for joining me. And as always, I will list the products that I've used below in the description. And if you have any questions about any of the products that I've used, or if you have any questions about joining Stampin' Up! As a demonstrator, please give me a call. You can contact me on my webpage, critters'nink.com, or feel free to email me at critters'nink@gmail.com. Thanks again. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you soon.